world hunger, nuclear proliferation, reality TV. None of those horrors compared to yarn ball deprivation.
Well, guess I really have to talk about Bubsy now. I've delayed this long enough, so what better time than now, I guess. I assume you all know what we're dealing with today, but in case you've been living under a rock for the past few decades, here's the skinny. What better time for cash grab video game mascots than the 90s, where everyone and everything was trying to trail behind Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario for the likes of being as outstanding as either one. Awesome Possum, Arrow the Acrobat, Rocky Rodent, Wally Bear, Cool Spot, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. You wish I were kidding about that last one. Point being, this was a time where everyone tried to have their piece of the gaming mascot pie, and many of them have failed left and right. We eventually got some good ones like Crash Bandicoot and Gex, but for the most part, these were nothing more than try-hard wannabes and from the get-go disasters waiting to happen. But of all of them, the most infamous happens to be Bubsy the Bobcat. And dear fucking god, did I get into a serious mess here. It all started with Claw's encounters of the furred kind. And from seeing reviews of the game, yeah, it ain't looking so hot. Trying to mooch off both Sonic and Mario at the same time. This would be a bobcat that was often frowned upon by the general consensus. And if you thought it stopped there, boys and girls, you'd be wrong. Enter Bubsy 2, virtually the same game. I don't know if it was better or worse, but honestly, I can't be bothered to care. And then we have Bubsy 3D, and this abomination I refuse to touch upon. So let's keep it moving, ladies and gents. The less said about this game, the better. Aside from leaving a permanent scar in the video game industry, someone actually looked at Bubsy and said to themselves, hey, you know what? Let's make an animated series out of this. That'll really appeal to the kids. Well, it didn't. Didn't even last beyond the pilot, and this said pilot is what we'll be diving into today. Buckle up, we're in for a wild one.
What could possibly go wrong?
Two things real quick. Yes, that's his catchphrase right there. Get used to those 5 words, folks. He's gonna be saying it a good amount of times in this romp. Hell, it's even the title of the damn episode. Second, fun fact. The legendary man of voices, that is Rob Paulson himself, unfortunately had the dishonor of voicing this freak of nature. Luckily for us though, he never puts that exact role on his resume, and for a very good reason, I'm assuming. This whole opening is pretty much an indication towards what we're gonna be watching today. Or not, who knows, it's gonna hurt either way. Looks like I may be going down for this, but if that's so, I'm taking you all with me because I am not watching this thing alone. We open with Bubsy and his armadillo friend. Okay, this thing apparently would be around for Bubsy too, but that's about all I know. To reiterate, I haven't touched anything regarding Bubsy aside from this train wreck, so just bear with me here. And in this show, his one character trait is that he's always afraid of getting ran over by upcoming trucks. Because kids can definitely connect with that. I can just imagine him on the streets right now. Actually, no, that's even too fucked up to even think about. There's also these twins that are related to Bubsy for whatever reason. I don't know, it's never clearly explained. Green thing's the nephew, red thing's the niece. They all look incredibly off-putting. They're just as obnoxious as Bubsy, perhaps even more so. And you know, it's really telling when their shirts have all but question marks, going as far as to make you wonder how they were all brought about to begin with. Now, to be fair, I get what they were going for. Bubsy's exclamation mark, therefore... why am I even wasting my time explaining this? One thing I've noticed about this cartoon is that it is definitely on the move. Not 1 second do these guys stop to catch a breath. Every second, someone's either talking hyperactively or moving around and causing typical shenanigans they'll credit it. And after a while, it's kind of an eyesore, and I think I actually got a headache by the end of this travesty. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
And last year, over 10,000 armadillos were run over by trucks in the state of Texas alone. For many of the poor little fellows, this is the last sound they will ever hear.
And in truly depressing news, someone on the writing staff thought this would make for great comedy in a children's cartoon. Also, for some odd reason, I am so convinced the armadillo here is nothing more than this show's whipping mule. You know, like Squidward in a good chunk of the modern SpongeBob episodes. That's good to know. Anyway, whenever this half-assed plot finally decides to get moving, we're introduced to this helmet that can turn any thought into reality. Now, if only we could make one of those fancy devices a reality. This genius goes on about the helmet for a few minutes, and then we cut to what I'm gonna call the writers taking the easy way out. Why do I say that?
Because I am brave. Because I crave adventure.
Pro life tip to pretty much everyone watching this video. If you're going to rely on stock footage, don't over-exaggerate, please. Otherwise you'll end up making this.
I need to go where no bobcat has ever gone before.
You're welcome. After a while we meet the supposed villains of the show. This bitch bucket of a cat, a vulture chef, and this rat thing that looks like it just came out of someone's fever dreams. Christ, just look at this thing. Is that even normal?
No, not the blackboard!
If you'll excuse me for just a moment. Yeah, I'm already 5 minutes in and I don't think I can last. I'm telling you, this cartoon is going to be the death of me. Are you sure you can't do me a solid? Oh, come on, there's gotta be some way we can compromise. Are you sure this can't be a collaboration of sorts? For the love of... Dude, you are the reason I'm reviewing this thing to begin with. Surely you gotta stick out for a bro somehow. I have been telling you time and again that if I was gonna go into this, it will be the last remaining fraction of my sanity. Is there nothing you can do? Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. Got it? What am I doing with my life? So we spend some time with What's-Her-Face explaining her evil plan for a couple minutes. Yeah, I know these guys might have names or whatever, but honestly, do I sound like I even care right now? This is basically just Robotnik and his badniks from that horrid Sonic cartoon. Only, you know, even more stupid.
To become the classiest kitten in this whole catatonic town.
Okay, fuck this noise.
Bubsy Bobcat here. I called about testing the helmet.
Oh, yeah, good. Virgil's expecting you, Bucky.
I call this endearing, except that it's not. And yeah, this is another one of those gags they keep hammering into the ground. Because as we all know, if you really want to make them laugh, always rely on the same jokes more than once. This message has been brought to you by Writing for Dipshits 101, the extremely dumbed down edition. Your amount of stupidity may vary, not intended for those with a working brain. Eventually, Bubsy tries on the helmet and imagines them all plummeting from the sky. And I just realized, this bobcat can glide. It was present in the game, so I have no idea why they don't even acknowledge it here. For crying out loud, they don't even make a joke or a nod or a reference or anything. Guess a little accuracy was just too much to ask for. Some falling truck from the sky, and soon they wind up back in the lab where the twins grab a hold of the helmet and run off to play with it. Discount Scratch and Grounder over here come about and find the kids with the helmet, putting their plan into action. The kids end up using as much of their imagination as possible, and then this happens. Hey, Wile E. Coyote called. He wants his comedic timing back.
Hand me the helmet, please, Oblivia.
So, wait, only now do they realize the helmet is missing. Jeez, what the fuck were they doing before this? Yeah, that's another thing. The timing in this cartoon feels way too off for my liking. There's no sort of solid pacing. Again, it's just one thing after another until the 22-minute runtime is used up. My brain hurts. They find the kids have been using the helmet for their own personal gain, some more stock footage because that worked so well the last time, and then madness ensues. Look, Ma, no effort!
Stop this instant!
I wish I could, but we got like 10 more minutes to go through, but for once we actually agree on something. Huh, how often does that happen? Nope, there's still more ground to cover. So for once he does something actually reasonable and scolds the kids for all the trouble they caused. But then they pulled a birthday card and... wait, did I miss something? I mean something of importance. I mean, sure, they might have mentioned something like this a while back, but if that's so, I feel it was never mentioned again until just now. You see, it's stuff like this the cartoon doesn't make clear enough for me to wrap my head around, which honestly confuses me on every level. Now, granted, this is a pilot of sorts, and I can usually give this stuff a pass, but I'm just saying, consistency! After some more mindless slapstick, and yes, I'm using air quotes here, the goons make off with the helmet and the kid and bring him to Cat Lady over here. All the while, Bubsy is moaning over this loss as if he's majorly screwed up big time, which, dude, what did you expect to happen? You left them unattended so they could play with this thing, and now it's biting you in the ass. If anything, it's your own damn fault. Also, Arnold over here gets pummeled some more because, lol, that's funny, right? Also, throughout this whole show, they keep talking about the fact that this helmet could potentially destroy the world or some shit. If that really was the case, then why the fuck didn't Virgil here think to keep the helmet highly secured so this disaster wouldn't have happened? Just a thought. Also, I love the fact that he conveniently has a tracking device for this helmet. I mean, like, that is just so convenient it is painful. Like, migraine-inducing painful. God, I hate this so much right now. However, instead of actually putting it to use, Bubsy decides to call the idiot shrew and ask for the location of their lair. I swear I could not make this shit up if I tried. So, here's the plan. Now that Bubsy knows where they are, guess what this ingenious lady comes up with?
When the Bobcat shows up, we simply refuse to answer the door.
You mad woman! I'm gonna spare you all from the ear rape that follows and skip right to the formulaic fight scene where everyone tries to get a hold of the helmet all at once. One thought brought to life after another until Bubsy gets a hold of the helmet, which is short-circuiting. But instead of doing us all a favor and ending the fucker right here, it ends with him catching the bad guys in their place and saving the day. Yay! Who would have thought Bubsy had such clever prowess to him? Especially since he ends up relying on the same old stock gag that's already been used twice at this point, and then the helmet malfunctions for real this time. Hopefully this means he died shortly after. And apparently he's taking Arnold here with him. Charming. And that was the pilot to the cartoon that never was. And thank the Lord for that. As if Bubsy wasn't having a hard enough time getting on our good side. You know what this whole thing is? A mighty, whopping, colossal headache that should have never been in place. The pacing here is awful, there's almost no central focus, almost every single character is either by the numbers or incredibly stupid, and do I even have to say it? Yeah, cut. You know, I think my brain must have imploded within itself during this review, because honestly, I don't know how much more of this I can take. And considering recent news that followed, I have a strong feeling we haven't heard the end of that goddamn Bobcat. Why is his gaming failure back in 2017 again? Oh right, it's pretty much our fault. We've been complaining so much about Bubsy and all he's left behind, and it turns out Accolade was able to make money off of all our suffering. You know, copyright claims and all that. So, in a way, we're all responsible for the sudden uprising. Everyone who's bitched about all these games, everyone who's vented their heads off about this character in general, all of us are to blame for this, and we're paying a mighty price for it. Well, I guess that wraps things up here. Until next time, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So now I'm gonna track down the guy who insisted I look into this pilot and give him a stern talking to. This is gonna be fun.